Hi, folks. Welcome to the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026 show. In today's episode, we look at the final three matches of the Super 8s itself that absolutely delivered drama, fine margins, standout individual performances. And in this live episode, we intend to break all of that down, tactically and analytically itself. We start off our discussion with the Sri Lanka versus Pakistan match, a thrilling five-run contest. Then we move on to the Zimbabwe versus South Africa match, where Sikandar Raza's all-round brilliance nearly inspired a Zimbabwe win, but that wasn't the case. And last but not the least, last night's India versus West Indies match itself, right, at Eden Gardens, which was a virtual quarter-final knock. Clash and delivered in every single regard. I have Anuj joining me once again. Hi Anuj, really happy to have you here. And let's
Hello.
start off, right, with the Super 8s itself, Sri Lanka versus Pakistan. Just your first thoughts on the match. A five-run thriller. Both teams knocked out, but it felt like a high-quality contest despite the stakes. Ultimately, sort of not changing the qualification scenarios.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, firstly. And yeah, speaking about the Sri Lanka versus Pakistan match, uh, initially, New Zealand fans must have been distraught the way they, let the game slip against England. But the fact that it made the last game relevant, at least for some time, it was really good to see. This T20 World Cup has been absolutely magnificent. Like, I didn't think that anything could top the 2024 edition, but this has definitely topped. With Nepal giving full competition to England, and Zimbabwe beating Sri Lanka in their own den, and all these things. Like, it is really it was really great. And the fact that, so for me it was always like, I don't want to face Pakistan if we make it to the final or semi-final, because the only thing more dangerous than Pakistan is a Pakistan team that knows what their best 11 is. And I really thought that they picked their best 11. They finally realized that, to play that extra batter, we are like sacrificing Abrar's bowling ability, which they didn't want to do. And then finally, like, if a person has hit 100 against India in a ICC final 9 years ago, how is that guy still, you're, no, he's in middle order, no, he's in top order, no, he's a number three. How is Fakar Zaman still being played around? I don't understand. I think it was more to do with some political thing, like, the his comments against the PCB and all also went against him. But when you come to a World Cup, you need to keep your differences aside and understand that who are your best players. Instead of playing Babar Azam, if they would have played Fakar Zaman from the start, and if you really want Sam Ayub's over, you could have put him at number four. As it is very good against spin also. So you are, as it is, putting your openers as middle orders. It is not ideal, but you might as well could have done that before. So yeah, the match made good relevance, and the way they started, I really felt that, yeah, it is quite possible.
Yeah, a lot of pertinent points you bring in there, Anuj. But let's start off with the toss and the conditions itself, right? Because Sri Lanka won the toss. They chose to field first, right, at Palikere. And with the pitch also staying, largely good for batting itself, do you think bowling first actually sort of played into Pakistan's hands, just considering, right, the power play and the approach they resorted to?
Uh, so see, the thing is, there are two types of match situations here. One is when you look at a game just in that perspective, and the other is when you look at it from a tournament's perspective. So although batting first in Sri Lanka is great, and I always feel that, especially for teams like New Zealand, who can just unleash, like, they can even bowl 24 overs of spin in a T20 game. It is that crazy, that the number of options they have. So always for teams like those, and teams like Pakistan also had 3 4 spin options, it is always better to have runs on the board, so that as the pitch gets slower, which it does in Sri Lanka, you uh, you try and make the best use of conditions. And that is exactly what South Africa did against India. They made the best use of a black soil pitch, which was only going to get slower and worse. So फर्क उतना ही था कि वहां पे स्लोअर बॉल्स were effective, and here the spin was effective. But when you look at it from a tournament's perspective, if you want to win by 65 runs, or chase it in 13.1 overs, it is always better to chase, because at least you know the target in front of you. Like now you see Pakistan got 176 for no loss in 15.4 overs. Had they restricted Sri Lanka to 160, you know, they could, they possibly could have done that. So I think Sri Lanka actually denied Pakistan that huge opportunity by, not allowing them to chase. So yeah, while it freed them up, it is always difficult, to win by 65. You almost need to score 260, which is unrealistic.
Yeah, definitely. It was always going to be a mountain hill of a task, for Pakistan to really pull off something like that. But let's talk about Pakistan's power play and approach itself, right? Again, Anuj, how crucial here was that fearless intent, right? Saib Zada Farhan, quite literally
Yeah.
lived up to that reputation. Fakhar Zaman, being newly promoted up there in the power play itself, 64 without a loss of wicket. Immediately, do you think that sort of put a lot of pressure on Sri Lanka?
Yeah, and it's it's not really, uh, I would say, something different they tried, because what they did is Pakistan finally gave their two best natural openers their original spot. So Sahib Zada Farhan and uh, Fakhar Zaman were always had to be your starting options. And the fact that they knew that they needed at least 160 to defend, so means they had to score 225. So that kind of liberated them even further. I think, I see, I have mad respect for. I don't like the Pakistan team that much because of their off-field comments about India and all. A lot of cricketers have crossed the line, but Fakhar Zaman is someone I really respect a lot, because it is not easy to, when you have historically kept on losing against India everywhere, to just come in a final and then score that 140, 150, whatever he scored, and completely bat India out of the game. And like players who break your spirits, they are ought to be respected, and I respect him a lot. So once he was named as an opener, I knew that he is going to be the danger man. And when they didn't review his caught behind when he was on 25 or something, I knew Sri Lanka are in trouble.
Yeah, valid points there, Anuj. And even just looking at the record opening partnership itself, right? The 176 run opening stand between the duo, it completely dominated the innings. Fair to say that. But what really stood out to you more, right? Was it Saib Zada Farhan's control, especially through those middle overs itself? Or just Fakhar Zaman, right? The aggressive tempo that we saw him keep up that ensured the net run, that the run rate itself was soaring. So, what really stood out more for you?
So see, even the if you observe Twitter and other social media sites, uh, people are still uh, criticizing Saib Zada Farhan for his 62 ball 100, because even they know that by modern T20 standards it is slow. And also the fact that it was a game where you needed 250. So I think Fakhar Zaman's wicket was the turning point, because he was really tearing into the bowlers. 84 of 42. I think he was a runner ball 20 at some point, or not. I don't know, 20 or 15. So from there, in the next 30 balls to score 60 runs is just a crazy acceleration. And I think his wicket was the turning point, because let's be very honest, it was very clear that Saib Zada Farhan was playing for his 100. So he was not taking too many risks. And when that is when, if you have seen Muhammad Amir and Ahmad Shehzad's analysis on that, there's many of the time they speak rubbish, but they were on point about this, that uh, that when a new batter was coming, the focus of for the batter was to try and go for the glory shot straight away instead of giving the set batter the strike. And that is exactly what Tilak did for Samson yesterday. So that was the difference, really. And I think this is something which really makes a huge difference. So what happened was, the likes of Shadab and everyone else went for, and then Farhan also didn't try. He was happy taking singles and all. This round the wicket bowled wide Yorkers, and there was a deep point and deep cover. So he was still targeting that. He didn't try to come across and expose the leg side boundary where fielders are inside the circle. He didn't try any of that. He was just hitting with the angle, taking a single. On the other hand, okay, I'm in the 90s, I'm happy. So, even like that is the difference, I think, between the mindset. When he got to the 100, he celebrated as if they have won the game. And when Sanju Samson got to his 50 yesterday, he took a new guard. He took a new guard, uh, showing that the job is just half done. Even Sanju Samson could have easily celebrated yesterday, given how many times he has thrown away good starts. So I think mindset was also little on the low, because no way can you be 176 for no loss in 15.4 overs and then just about die to get to 210. So that was a very big momentum shifter, I think, in the this of Sri Lanka.
Yeah, very true. And the point is actually going to come to next. But let's have a look at our live chat, which has been coming up with some very interesting opinions. Anuj, you can probably chime in as well. Sudipta going on to say competition between two worst teams like trash versus garbage. Again, no disrespect to both teams, but I mean, I don't know. Like a lot of fans, sort of had this sentiment itself. Unknown Nobody going on to point that Pakistan found their near perfect playing 11, right? I mean, a lot of us were sort of asking for these changes. Like, why is Babar still a part of that playing 11? Isn't Abrar like a better option to be included? Fakar Zaman
Yeah.
to come up higher in that order. And they kind of, stuck to this sort of a template of giving the right players the right kind of role clarity itself. And Sudipta also going on to quickly add that only positive for Pakistan is Farhan, right? Sahibzada Farhan. Now, irrespective of all the criticism around him, his strike rate, and people feeling like, him being very selfish and playing for himself, probably, this can be a positive that Pakistan could, take from this World Cup. Unknown Nobody also adding here that Sri Lanka was bowling like, filth. They were dropping dollies, a very forgettable effort in that regard. But here's where, Anuj, I want to pause and just talk about Sri Lanka's bowling and the death over side of things itself, right? Okay, agreed. Pakistan went from 176 for no loss to 212 for 8. For you, did you feel it was like a genuine Sri Lankan comeback itself, especially through the likes of Madhu Shankar and Dasan Shanaka himself? Or Pakistan just lost clarity, right? Because they were clearly chasing like a whole qualification margin and they might have gotten a little complacent thinking that, oh, we're in a comfortable position.
Yeah, see, as I said before, uh, pitches in Sri Lanka can be good for batting, but no pitch in Sri Lanka is such that you can just close your eyes and hit through the line. The way they do in Pakistan, the kind of pitches that they get in Multan, Lahore, absolute highways. So once Farhan and Fakhar were in, it was important that they face the maximum deliveries, as I said. So it was important for the other batters, the new batters, to just rotate strike and for Farhan to take more risks. So that didn't happen because on one hand, Farhan was happy taking singles and prolonging his innings and getting closer to his 100, and on the other hand, the newer batters were just trying to slog. Just like if you see, everyone was trying to hit to the cow corner mid wicket. Everyone, there was no. If you look at Fakar's innings, he went inside out over covers 2 3 times. So even again, as the same thing, only he understood how to, and I think it is a bit of both. Sri Lanka's plans were very clear this time, unlike New Zealand, where they were just bowling absolute filth, as a YouTuber said. So the thing is, they were very clear. Uh, Offside, put two fielders in the deep, and just hit the wide line Yorker from round the wicket. So of course, sometimes it might go to the boundary between covers and mid on, but most of the times it didn't go, and they were very, and because it was outside the off stump and they were trying to hit towards the mid wicket across the line, a lot of balls went up in the air and they were caught. So it was, I think it was clarity on Sri Lanka's part and also foolishness on Pakistan's part, because nobody tried to move around the crease and expose the leg side. Because I'm sure that if there are four fielders out on the offside, then the whole leg side should be inside the circle, because you can only have five, like, outside the circle. So that they missed out on opening up areas. So yeah, it was, again, as I said, it was a bit of both.
Yeah, As you rightly said, Anuj, it was probably Sri Lanka just having not the best day with the ball, but then still somehow making up for it in the end. And Pakistan, not being able to accelerate. And Anu Nowari also quickly going on to point out that, Sri Lankan bowling, Sri Lanka bowling Shanaka over Kamindu was slightly baffling itself. And there were a few more other comments about, like what is the best kind of opening combination? Should Pakistan have gone for Farhan and all of that? But all in all, they did get to that 212, right? Which on any day you'd think, hey, probably they can pull off a win. But let's talk about the Sri Lankan chase itself, right? Just the momentum shifts. They lost a bit of, confidence up early, a lot of early wickets there. Again, Anuj, how important was that rebuilding phase itself, right? Led by Pawan Ratnayake alongside Charit Aslanka in keeping the run chase alive. Right? It was not just about letting the game slip away or just, be like passive customers, but they were actually trying to do something there with the rebuilding side of things.
Yeah, look, when Sri Lanka walked out to bat, I think it was clear that they are going for 213. Like 147 was not in their minds, and why it should be, because like उनका personal कुछ फायदा नहीं है उसमें. Because if they score 147, they are basically sending out a T20 World Cup semi-final from their country to India, and they are वो revenue में hit होता है, and everything, ticket sales and everything goes down. So they basically had only pride to play for, quite literally, and nothing else. So I think they did well. They tried hard in the power play. Nisanka threw his wicket away, and then Mishara was doing really good until he got out. So I see again Abrar. It is baffling how they kept him out of the team for so long. But yeah, then as you said, the rebuilding phase was very crucial, because not just did they take singles. Like it would have been very easy for them to shut shop after 3 wickets and feel that this is it. Like we are not going to win the game. At least try and knock Pakistan out. That would have been very negative. Like although Indians would have been happy and New Zealanders would have been happy, but it would have been very negative on a Sri Lankan's part, because I'm pretty sure every Sri Lankan with a self respect would have said that you die swinging, but don't play negative cricket, because that is all they have played in the 2 games in the Super 8s, and that is why Dashun Shanaka came out and spoke about the negativity they are facing from the crowd, and the effect it has had on the mental health. So I was sure that they were going to go for 213. There was no doubt about that. So they tried, and some shots were really good from Asalanka. Asalanka, I don't know. Again, the same thing as with Pakistan with Sri Lanka. That by the time the end of their campaign came, they realized they're better 11. And Asalanka is a very good player of spin. So you in Sri Lankan conditions you cannot keep him out. So and he showed that he attacked Usman Tariq, and the way that Usman Tariq was being marketed, that he's going to come, he's going to destroy. So I think 2.428 was what he got of Usman Tariq. So that was really good. That really broke the momentum, and Pawan also is doing really good. He's coming across the. He already, I had seen his cameo of 28 or 15 against Australia, and you see some people and you realize that there is a player there. So again, they really played well. uh, बीच में ऐसा टाइम आया when Shanaka came with him, and it was a bit of a brain fade from Sri Lanka, that it was the last ball of Abrar's spell, and Kamindu still tried to hit it and he got clean bowled. So that and then Linayage also got clean bowled by Nawaz. So at 90 for 5 or 100 for 5, I felt that, oh no, this is now they're going to crumble. 147 is also not possible. So at that stage, for 3 overs, when they just shut shop and just took singles, even I honestly thought that okay, now they are just going for 147. So yeah, but again, uh, we had basically doubted. Sorry, I had basically doubted their approach. But yeah, again, Shanaka showed why he is one of the best finishers in the world.
Yeah, a point that I'm very much looking forward to talking with you, Anuj. But before that, I think just reflecting on Pakistan's bowling impact, as you rightly pointed out, Abrar Ahmed was just next level, right? 3 for 23 changed the complexion of the game itself, especially in the middle overs. I really felt like his spell briefly swung Pakistan back into control before, of course, Dasun Shanaka came and that whole counter attack that did happen. Also, in our comment section, we did have a few people talking about Abrar's bowling. That Sri Lankan batters just made Abrar look like one simple stump ball to ball playing, but they were just slogging so hard. And I think there was this other comment too earlier that came in about Abrar, being a miss for Pakistan early on in the season. And had they brought him for those earlier games, Pakistan could have sure made it to the semi-finals itself. But yeah, Anush, let's get to the part where we really want to talk about the dramatic finish itself, right? The overall takeaway from this match, Dasun Shanaka. I mean, what a man. Nearly pulled off a miracle, right, against Shaheen Shah Afridi. Like, again, did you feel like this match saw Pakistan sort of peak a little too late, or Sri Lanka was just showing flashes of what could have been, right? They eventually ended up losing by 5 runs, that contentious wide call in the end, not a wide call in the end. Just a lot of chaos and drama in this match to finish off this one.
Yeah, as I told you, for those 3 overs when they shut shop, maybe they could have tried for a boundary more here or there. But again, you can say that what if they lost their wicket in that way? They were just waiting for Nawaz to finish his spell, and they were just waiting for the quicks to come back. And I think that's completely fair. Means they knew that Shadab had to bowl 2 overs, who had not bowled in the match, and Shaheen had to bowl 1 over, Naseem had to bowl 1 over. So they were just banking on that 90 from 33. When it was there, like it felt like the game is gone, like there is no point. But then that is all about self belief. If I still believe after Jasprit Bumrah, if there is any T20 bowler who is like unplayable on his day, it is Josh Hazelwood. So if you need 59 from 3 and then you can smash 22 of Hazelwood, means 59 of 3 and 2 of those overs are from Hazelwood. It is that difficult, and you still manage to chase it down with like 1 or 2 balls to spare. So it is unbelievable. So he has done that before Shanaka, and I think that is the self belief. Once you get into that zone, and I think he had a point to prove, because he kind of spoke up about the uh, mental health stress that the players are going through because of the negativity. So he also had a point to prove. Not that I'm not saying that both of him and the crowd were at loggerheads, but he had to give something back just so that the crowd can go home happy. And I'm definitely sure that this uh, win would sting Pakistan more than a loss, because had they lost, they would have said that okay, we never got those 3 points. But now they will keep ruing on the fact that net run rate got them out and nothing else, and their own mistakes. I'm 110% sure if they had played this 11 against England, they were not losing that match. They only lost that match due to Harry Brook's brilliance, and Abrar would have been the answer to Harry Brook, I feel. So yeah, they lost it by their uh, own foolishness, and still managed to equal New Zealand on points tally. So yeah, but again, it just exposes the kind of problems that are happening in Pakistan cricket. Just because you won one match against India in 2021, so what India went through for some time as a problem, Pakistan are going through right now, that hero worship. If you need a bowler, it has to be like Shaheen Afridi. If you need a batter, it has to be like Babar Azam. That's not the case. Like, they are not made for T20 cricket, and especially Shaheen has just not been the same after his uh, injury where he lost pace and his zip. So yeah, Pakistan bowling, they will be gutted. As I told you, their fans probably would have wanted that last ball to go for a six, so that they can get a better closure, rather than now keep rowing on the fact that we got 3 points but net run rate got us out.
Yeah, I think it's a case of Pakistan, just not getting a lot of things right through the course of this entire World Cup itself, and the Super Eights really exposing those problems. Eventually, they did end up winning by 5 runs, but it still wasn't enough to sort of seal a position for them in the semi-finals. But yeah, folks, that does conclude at least segment one of our discussion, where we did want to talk about Saturday's match, the Pakistan versus Sri Lanka one. The subcontinent giants taking on each other, which eventually did see Pakistan win. But Anuj, let's move on to yesterday's matches, and that's where we come to the Zimbabwe versus South Africa one itself. Again, for you, did the match feel like way closer than the scorecard suggests, especially considering how much of the game revolved around one man, right, Sikandar Raza, even though he ended up on the losing side, very deservingly being awarded Player of the Match for his performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is high time we stop with this obsession that player of the match only goes to the winning team. So yeah, I think that was a good choice from the jury. And player of the match is a player of the match, one that was simply outstanding. So that is, and yeah, Sikandar Raza, he takes pride. And I'm not sure about the technicalities, but once he became a very formidable player, he could have easily gone back to Pakistan and tried to apply and play for Pakistan and maybe have a better chance at winning titles. But he stayed loyal to, he wanted to see Zimbabwe cricket grow, and it is really good to see them fighting and coming till Super 8s, and him playing such a major role. So yeah, I would still I would be very careful before calling them minnows, because firstly they are not, and secondly that you can never judge a team that is on the ascend. So they are on their way up for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's just a matter of few wins or so that would really see them, sort of seal that status itself. But again, coming to Zimbabwe's innings itself, especially the power play, Anuj, they lost a few early wickets and reached only 45 for 2 in the power play, right? Like how important again here was Sikandar Raza, just his approach, right, in preventing like a complete collapse. It's fair to say he dominated almost single-handedly. And for you, like what really stood out, was it his shot selection itself or South Africa's strategy against him, right? They weren't going with the full strength playing 11, and Kwena Mafaka, finally broke through this. Just talk us through that Zimbabwe batting effort.
So I think the most important part was hunger. Once you know that you are knocked out, it is very easy to tune out, or just as you said, absorbing the pressure. Actually there was no pressure because Zimbabwe was out of a tournament. So he might as well could have done, like, uh, heck, I'm going hell for leather here every ball. Maybe try and reach 180 if it's possible. But at the same time, in that case, you could have left, been at 120. You could have reached 120 with that attitude. So he still understood that there is a match to be won, and he has already told this once in press conference that no match is big or small. Every opportunity that he gets to wear a Zimbabwe jersey, he's proud. So yeah, that just shows the pride of the man. That just shows how confident he is in his ability, and these are special talents. Like Sanju Samson yesterday. Like, if you have an understanding that till you are there, your team has a chance, then it is a very big quality to have. Yeah, I'm not surprised by what Sikandar Raza did, like, because he is a very good player, and although it was a replaced attack, it was still a very quality attack with Corbin Bosch and George Lind and all these people. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because although Sikandar Raza scored that 73 or 43, the rest of the Zimbabwe batting lineup just, crumbled and collapsed around him. They huffed and puffed, got to that 153 for 7. And Anuj, again, just a brief comment on South Africa's bowling attack itself, right? Because we had what? The senior bowlers being rested. Again, how impressive was the bench strength, right? Particularly Kwena Mafaka, like the control and ability that he was showing with the ball to remove a set batter at that crucial phase and to ensure the batters didn't have much of work to do later on.
Yeah, definitely Koena Mafaka has already shown that in the under 19 World Cup, he showed that he is a class apart, and it is just about them polishing this diamond, because Definitely after Stain, if there was someone, there was Rabada, and after Rabada, I think it is Mafaka to take that baton from him. And yeah, it was great to see him bowl with that control, because in wide ball it is very difficult, especially on grounds like Eden Gardens, Wankhede, and Delhi. Like, they are not 60-65 meter boundary is not a big boundary, so uh, yeah, it is definitely, very it he will take a lot of heart from that effort, that if I can bowl like this on the most difficult grounds to bowl, then when I have bigger boundaries to defend, then I can be even better.
Yeah, just excited to see where he goes from here, because Lungi and Gidi again picked that solitary wicket. Andrik Nokia himself there with one, and Corbin Bosch too, right? To his credit, we've seen a lot of him in the IPL, but playing for South Africa is always very refreshing. And George Linda too, right? That 1 for 22 of 3 overs. But let's sort of cast our attention to South Africa's run chase itself. The equation was simple, right? 154 of 20. They'd already sealed their place in the semi-finals too. But Anuj, again here, you saw, right, at one phase, South Africa was 14 for 2 and later 43 for 3, right, at the end of that power play itself. Do you think, like, Sikandar Raza and again his double strike briefly shifted the momentum before, towards Zimbabwe? We'll talk about the partnership later, but just this part where Zimbabwe was really challenging them early on.
Yeah, and we have seen that several times in the group phase also, and in the game against India also, that the top order is not really, it is all Markram at the moment. And the moment Markram fails early, De Kock finds it difficult to get going. In his prime, Quinton de Kock was the one who used to, if you speak about Mumbai Indians, he used to be the one who used to give those fast starts so that Rohit Sharma can get his eye in. And then Quinton de Kock uh, continued that trend for South Africa with Hashim Amla also, so that Hashim Amla could ease into his innings while Quinton de Kock could give those fast starts. But now it is clear that this World Cup, if you see, I think it is Markram's strike rate in power play is like 187 or 197. That is crazy, that is very crazy, and he's an example for Indian batters like Shubman Gill and KL Rahul, that if you are a technically sound batter, you can still be explosive and as per the demands of the format. So yeah, I personally think that South African top order is heavily dependent on Markram right now, and the games where he got big scores, like against West Indies, so they were not even in the picture. So this is there that as you said, Zimbabwe definitely understood that Markram is a big wicket, and they got him early, and the pressure showed on others. Like, but yeah, the partnership, I think it was really, there was not much doubt about South Africa, because firstly it was just 154 and on a good pitch, and they had already scored 187 from 20 for 3 on a slow black soil pitch in Ahmedabad. I had no doubt about, like, I didn't think the game was in trouble. Maybe if Brevis would have got out early, then maybe at 44 4 or something like that, but not before that. They always had enough in the tank.
Yeah, because I think fair to say the turning point partnership in this match was the one that was stitched right by Deval Brevis and David Miller itself. The counter-attacking knock that they did play changed the tempo of the run chase, despite Zimbabwe continuing to pick wickets. Again, for you, Anuj, like, does it tell you a lot about South Africa's composure? This was under pressure, right? And even Zimbabwe, just their growing competitiveness when led by performances like Sikandar Raza and his all-round masterclass, just making for good viewing, right? At large.
Yeah, I think South Africa, uh, after losing the last T20 World Cup final, they went back to the drawing board. Like, what is our biggest issue here? Firstly, the biggest issue is batting depth. You cannot lose if you need 27 from 28 and you have 6 wickets in hand. Okay, you cannot lose from that position and you still lost. So they addressed that. They uh, do they have better bowlers than Corbin Bosch? Of course they do, but they understood that to get his batting, we have to trust him as a bowler. So they got Corbin Bosch at 8. Now, if on some matches they don't want to play Maharaj, they have George Lind at 9. So it is that longer batting now. So now this South African team, if they are in the similar situation, they will not lose. If 27 is needed of 28 and just 4 wickets are down. So, and the second issue they addressed is Markram playing in the middle order. I think he slowed down a lot. Opening is his best position in T20s. That they realized, and although Heinrich Klaaser is a very accomplished and at one point number one T20 batter, the closest like for him was Devold Brevis, because you needed that someone who can inject runs out of nowhere in the middle order. And I still don't understand how people keep saying that Devold Brevis has not proven himself. Yesterday again he showed, he broke the game open. Like Miller also counter attack, but he still scored 22 of 16. This guy scored 42 of 18, and that broke the game open. That like didn't even keep competition. From 9 runs per over, the required rate went below a run a ball. So you need such people in modern day T20 cricket who don't think about a single after 6. They think 6 6 4. This is what they think. So, and that is what he did to Varun Chakravarti. That is what that is what created the panic. That is what he did to Shivam Dubey. I was there in Ahmedabad. It was a very horrible feeling. But yeah, so that is why the opposition players are, to instill fear. The every time he comes on strike, you feel that if you don't get him out, he's going to get at least 10 runs of the next 4 balls.
Yeah, I
So
mean
yeah,
that's the
I am not
kind.
surprised at all.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of impact that he's had, irrespective of all the criticism. Continues to stand up and deliver for his team. And just taking a few comments here, I think Sudhita had earlier gone on to ask us, like, why Sikandar Raza not picked by any IPL team, and sports fan, going on to confirm that he was with, Punjab Kings. Hopefully this time around too, if he comes in as a late injury replacement to someone, he can have that sort of an impact. But fair to say, I think here that Zimbabwe are like a 7 to 8 players team. They have some players who just can't, perform anytime, and that over dependence on Sikandar Raza really comes through. Hopefully, we will see more players and newer match winners, so to say. And Anuj, I think here we can take a quick prediction from you too. Sports fan going on to ask us, who do you think are favorites, by the way? South Africa and New Zealand ke beech mein. So do you have a pick here?
See, I think if this was played in Colombo, I would have closed my eyes and said New Zealand. But grounds like Wankhede, Eden Gardens, the Delhi one, these are six hitting grounds. Whoever has better six hitters will win. And I just don't understand how a player of the quality of Daryl Mitchell is a number 6 for New Zealand. It is too low for him. So they really depend very much on Finn Allen and Tim Seifert giving that start, and then Glenn Phillips firing, because then others like Mark Chapman, Rachin Ravindra, Daryl Mitchell, they're good players of spin, but you cannot call them six hitters. So this is why I would give the edge to South Africa for sure.
Yeah, an interesting one there, because I think in our comments too, right, we have answers coming that, hey, South Africa seems like they are the favorite. And unknown nobody also pointing out that South Africa, because they have not reached their complete potential, and who knows, right, if the semi final could prove to be that sort of an impact. And also, yeah, Anuj, let's move on to our next match under focus, the India versus West Indies one itself. So I'm sure a lot of viewers, listeners are keen to listen to and get our insights. Let's get your first thoughts itself, right? Virtual quarterfinal, the task was cut out. India had to win the match, right? Again, do you think the match lived up to the pressure and the expectations, especially given how tight, right, the run chase began at Eden Gardens?
Yeah, definitely lived up to the hype. And like those who follow me on Twitter, they know that how bullish I am about Wankhede Stadium's atmosphere. But I always say that if there is one stadium that can dampen what Wankhede has to offer, that is the Eden Gardens. I don't believe in all this that Ahmedabad Stadium has a much more in less incline, so the voice doesn't reverberate and all that bullshit. Because even lesser decline Eden Gardens has. If you see the stands, it is even even more inclined than what Ahmedabad has. So that way, even their voice shouldn't reverberate. Then how are they so passionate? How is the how like if there is a misfield, how can we hear the roar of the crowd? I just like a couple of my friends had gone yesterday, and I'm absolutely jealous that I missed such a match, and I wish that Kolkata was geographically closer to Mumbai. I would have definitely gone. You know, but yeah, what a match, man. And I think India's fielding was really poor, but I think that is what made this match interesting. I really hope that they don't give such heart attacks to their fans, and they just focus on being better in the field.
Yeah, very true. Because let's further go on to dissect this match itself. Let's talk about the toss. Anuj, for you, what did you make of the toss outcome itself, right? India won the toss. It chose to field first itself. This is a batting friendly Kolkata surface. Did you always think that chasing was going to be the smarter call? Because we know, right, the due impact, the scoreboard pressure itself, and the fact that, it's better to chase a total that is already set. But India's, again, chases have largely come under, like when Virat Kohli was a part of that team itself. So, were you confident with the kind of decision India made at the toss?
Yeah, good thing you said about Virat Kohli, because I wanted to address this thing. When we lost in Ahmedabad, people who watch cricket, people who understand cricket, know that it was a black soil pitch. The pitch got slower, and all of your batters are natural stroke makers who want the ball to come onto the bat. So once they got to 187, the game was over. Especially when you were 5 for 2 in the you have to absolutely boss the power play to be in the match. Like, you had to be 70 after 6 overs, so that getting 110 from 14 overs still feels realistic, although the pitch was slow. But once you lost the power play, it was gone. But then, to remember Kohli, and like, you only miss the sun when it starts to snow and all that bullshit. People forget that भाई उनको किसी ने निकाला नहीं था. Rohit, and I'm not even saying just Virat. Even Rohit and Virat left on their own. Sachin left before them 10 years ago, 12 years ago. So people will keep on going. It is not that uh, if every time a team fails, instead of being disappointed about the team, you come and you say that Kohli hota to jita deta and all that. That just shows individual, what you say, individual fandom over country. Like, everybody knows, like those who follow me on Twitter, that I absolutely adore Surya Kumar Yadav for the journey that he had breaking into the Indian team against all odds, when the Sanju Samson and Shreyas Iyer, these people were the next to get in. But I would never, of course, and I also feel infuriated by all those when it matters wala bullshit, that he doesn't perform when it matters and all. So but I would always any day take 8 zeros from Surya Kumar Yadav in a row, if those 8 zeros mean India win the T20 World Cup. So that is always there. So I really don't understand these fan clubs, make trying to make a point when a team loses. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to address that. And yeah, when you said that they have not chased, but the thing is, West Indies as a team, you never give them a target. I This is what I personally feel. You give them a target, they will divide it into the number of sixes that they need, and then they will follow that. This gives them a pattern, and that is exactly what they did in Wankhede 10 years ago. That is exactly what they keep doing to teams. That is exactly why they chased, like, two, if I'm not wrong, 240 something against South Africa at Johannesburg, uh, 240, 236 something. So you never, even at the risk of them scoring 250 first, batting first, you still give them that you bat first. You set the target. By the time they figure out, and this is not just with them, this is with any team, by the time you figure out what is a good pitch, if the opposition bowls well, there are a lot of chances that the good part of the innings is gone already. Is what happened in the power play. The power play, they scored just 45. It should have been 65, 70, given how good the pitch was. And those 15, 20 runs, although they tried to cover it up. Romario Shepherd not batting also played a huge role. I felt that instead of Holder, maybe they could have sent Shepherd up and just making Shepherd wait made no sense. But yeah, that is also true that India's fielding was horrible, and this 195, which seemed below par, could have been even lower. Could have been 180 had India held on to their catches.
Yeah, a lot of talking points there, Anuj, but probably we can take it right from the top of West Indies power play and their approach itself, right? Because at the end of 6 overs, they were what, 45 for no loss. And here's somewhere I think a lot of people do want to attribute Shea Hope and the way he went about with his knock. A very slow tempo, unintentionally sort of holding back what could have been an even bigger total up front. Just what did you make of that, right? Considering he was dropped as well, like his catch was dropped. It just didn't make sense, right, with the way he was operating at the other end.
I think India played the matchups really well. Uh, although Gautam Gambhir said after the press conference that he doesn't believe in data, it is complete bullshit because then how do you know that West Indies team struggle the most on hard lanes? That is not possible to know that without data. And Hardik was coming and bashing that hard length again and again and again. So apart from that 1-6, it was very difficult for and 4 overs 40 feels bad on paper, but on such grounds you always take your fifth bowler giving 4 overs 40. Any day I will take that. So 4 overs 40 with that one wicket of Rutherford. So yeah, the plan was clear. Hardik was bowling hard lengths, and Aksar was not letting him give any room to cut the ball or to come inside the line and hit it behind square leg. So uh, the bowling was very good. I think uh, it was really really good from India. They kept and the idea was right. The always the uh, what you say the essence of West Indies batting was their middle order. Once Hetmeyer starts, Hetmeyer to Romario. So they did really well by front loading Hardik and Akshar's overs so that they can have Varun and Bumrah for the real big hitters who can cause some problems. But yeah, as I said, uh, that worked really well. That helped them restrict them to 195 instead of 220. But that also played a part. Their poor fielding also ensured that they could have got even 10-15 runs lesser than what they got.
Yeah, and there's some valid points you bring in there, and I think a lot of our viewers very cheekily just going on to add, if not for Samson, I think Shea Hope deserved to win Player of the Match award there. Another comment going on to say with batting it was Shea Hope, and with the bowling Bumrah, Akshar, their spell really sealed the game for India. And yeah, I think I know nobody also going on to very aptly point out that West Indies were a little defensive, right? Else a 220 would have definitely be on cards there. Again, just how crucial was Jasprit Bumrah, right? His double strike, it removed Roston Chase, Shimron Hetmeyer, just as West Indies was looking to explode, right? Past that 200. I mean, Roman Powell and Jason Holder, they did add to that late acceleration itself. But India too, right? On their end, like death bowling execution slightly slipped. Or was West Indies just like a little better with the bat?
No. West Indies are, of course, better with the bat, but it's a bit of both. Arshdeep, he realized in the fourth over that wide Yorkers are the way to go, but he could have done that in the third over itself. Coming round the wicket, bowling into the pitch, it was not working. These West Indian players are very muscular. If you bowl into the pitch, it has to be a proper hard length. As we said, it was a problem for Shea Hope, but it was not a problem for other batters. They are just gleefully waiting on the back foot so that it could come at a nice nothing height, means not even on the head and not even below the waist. So proper height, means improper height where you can just hit and tonk it. And then he came over the wicket and again began to bowl slot balls. So it was very difficult. Arshdeep's over really gave them momentum. So yeah, but again, I still believe in Arshdeep. Like he is, if there is one bowler in India after Bumrah who can bowl Yorkers at will, it is Arshdeep. So like India have to back him. India have to understand that, on grounds like Kolkata, Mumbai, these are very small grounds and anything can happen. Like a bowler can go for 60 runs also, and you still have to back him.
Yeah, very true. Because when you just have a snapshot of India's bowling effort, I mean, Jasprit Bumrah was the standout there. 4 overs, 36 runs, picking those 2 wickets. You had Hardik Pandya and Varun Chakrabarti with 1 wicket each, but all bowlers, going in excess of 8.5, which doesn't really make for good reading. But West Indies, eventually did get to 195. And I think here's where even sports fans' comment makes sense that, we're just very much at the moment over relying on Bumrah with such things, bowling. We wouldn't be able to defend totals, which hopefully India does end up introspecting and reflecting a lot about. But yeah, Anuj, let's talk about India's run chase itself, right? 196 to get of those 20 overs, especially the early part of India's run chase itself, right? They were what, 41 for 2 inside 5 overs. Do you think the early wickets actually kept India sort of, focused on Sanju Samson, and, it sort of ensured that he didn't exactly go into a shell but was playing more carefully and rather than just engaging in reckless batting that eventually augured well for India?
Yeah, absolutely. And he even said in the interview that generally what he does is he tries to bat in such a way that I will finish the game in the next 2 overs. But the fact that wickets kept tumbling, he realized he had to be more responsible in that stage, and that definitely helped. That definitely made an impact. He has always threatened to play such a knock, and I'm glad that it came on the biggest of stages. It had to come because uh, just the way things have been with him, it has been so unfair. I won't say it was that unfair after Ishan got into the team, because Sanju didn't perform and he lost his place rightfully. But then the team management and the way they backed, the way they felt that okay, Sanju can still play a role, and instead of Ishan and Abhishek, we need to have a right hander at the top so that people stop bowling off spinners to us. And that really worked. And yeah, I'm glad that it was a kind of a remontada for him. The way it just, just the redemption. And I hope there are two more knocks left in him like that.
Yeah, because Sanju Samson was batting at an entirely different level and realm yesterday, right? His celebrations also pretty much giving it away how much he has, taken time, reflected on the process itself, scoring 97 of 50, 12 fours, 4 sixes. He was just playing the cover drive at ease, right? Scoring a bulk of his runs from there. Just have a look at his wagon wheel. He was attacking all across the field in control for 88%. It was a very physical knock as well, right? Again, he ran 25 singles, hit like boundaries at will, right? Which is something you really, really appreciate in a run chase like this. But even Anuj, if you had to look at, the partnership that he struck with Tilak Varma there, in sort of, again shifting the momentum, especially, when the asking rate was briefly threatened, and with all the other subsequent batters too, just impressed with the way he went about and how India's batting stood up to probably the biggest ask in this situation.
Yeah, and I had made this comment in the mid innings that it had to be 180. But if you cannot chase 196 on a good pitch after what you have been advertising from 2 years, then it is a failure of a project. So India had to get that right yesterday, no matter if they lost, if they were 41 for 2, 41 for 3, 41 for 4. They simply had to get yesterday's chase right, because that is what they have backed on. That okay, we might have an off day when the pitch is not good. We might not have the players apart from Tilak and Surya to counter that kind of pitches. But if you give us a good pitch, then we will outscore the opposition every time. That is what it was clear, that this was the brand. And it definitely, Abhishek's form didn't help, because he was the pioneer of taking this brand forward, and his failure is really causing problems for India. But yeah, uh, it's good in a way that Abhishek's best is yet to come, and we are still scoring 200 without him. Because at one point during the Asia Cup, it felt like we just had Abhishek Sharma and no one else. So it is good in a way that other people are standing up, and India has not quite peaked yet. I hope that uh, peak comes in the semi-final and the final, hopefully.
Yeah, which fingers crossed for that because again, just coming back to Sanju's now, because for me it definitely felt like he redefined India's batting template just going ahead. That you can actually sort of mix that anchor and aggression sort of a role rather than just constant high risk batting, which the rest of the batting unit seems to have resorted to. But they will hopefully figure their stuff out as they head into the semi final itself versus England. I know nobody quickly going on to point here that Samson on bench got his mind cleared and then came with the right approach. What we saw yesterday was just stuff of dreams, right? Seeing him do what he does at his absolute best, great stuff there. I have begun to doubt, Abhishek's temperament now. Maybe it's just bad form. As Anuj said, we will be optimistic and hope that that form doesn't really come to trouble him in the semi-final and he can find
Yeah.
his groove again, right? And
Yeah, let me remind you that last time India played England at Wankhede, I was there. It was last year, February. Abhishek Sharma scored 100 and we won by 150 runs. So don't write him off. If there is any pitch in India that suits him, it is Wankhede.
yeah, Anuj has already given his warning to us that Abhishek Sharma will be amongst the runs very soon, and what better occasion than a semi-final and a pitch that really suits his game. Sportsman also going on to add here that Samson never really let the net run rate go up. Classy knock, no over attacking. Exactly. If someone really missed out this match and they want a comment to sum up the match, this one it is. Sanju Samson keeping things really simple and unbeaten knock, literally speaking for itself. I think there's this other comment that I did want to take up. Yeah, I know nobody also going on to say an appreciation to Tilak and Dubey as well, right? The way they went about their plan. I think this question about Tilak, which probably Anuj can answer. Why is Tilak, looking good when he's gone like so much lower in that batting order itself? Anuj, do you agree that ever since Tilak Verma came back from injury, he hasn't looked the exact same? So probably the team management felt, not having him at that very, I don't know, challenging number three position, probably at number five would suit him better because this way Ishan is also still a part of that lineup and Tilak gets to like play his much more natural game at that number five position.
See, watching Tilak Verma since 2022 with Mumbai Indians, it's been 4 seasons, right? Out of those 4 seasons, 3 seasons ka sample space we have where every time, whether it was for Cameron Green fitting in at 3, or now it is for Will Jacks fitting in at 3, or for Surya Kumar Yadav fitting in at 3, Tilak is always pushed down the order and he doesn't look comfortable. Okay, it all depends on the first 3 balls that he plays. If he gets a boundary, he gets going, then it makes a huge difference to his confidence also and momentum, as we saw against Zimbabwe and against West Indies also, that on the fourth ball he got a boundary. He was one of three, and the fourth ball he smashed Samar Joseph down the ground. The problem is, if Tilak comes in a situation where you already need 10, 11 and over, what this is what the situation a number 5 faces majority of times. That is why Hardik was India's number 5 when India had Rinku Singh for finishing. So uh, yesterday also you didn't need such a big asking rate. Of course, it had gone to 92 from 8. So it did require some explosive batting. But yeah, I have seen enough knocks of Tilak struggling when he comes out to bat at number 5. So definitely, I don't know if it is the injury or what, but still I would believe number 3. He is the number 3 for India in a long term thing. Uh, because as Virat showed for 15 years, your number 3 needs to have all gears. He just cannot be a just hitter, because see yesterday what happened with Ishan Kishan. He hit 2 boundaries, and then for a ball outside off, he tried to pull it to just the one out of the 2 fielders that were out there. So again, that with some presence of mind, he could have punched that same ball through the covers and got another boundary. So yeah, I am still not sure about Tilak at 5, because uh, just because of the 3 years of sample space that I have of Mumbai Indians. This is the same that happens there to to Surya cannot bat lower than 4, so he has to bat. So Tilak has to bat 5 in order to fit Cameron Green before, and now Will Jacks at 3. But yeah, it will change because Will Jacks is doing well at 7, so maybe now Will Jacks will go down at 7 and Tilak will come back to 3 for Mumbai. But yeah, for now, no need to change anything. Just have to hope that two more games he turns up when needed and doesn't slow down, because slowing down is very, very. It has happened a lot of times. Like in if he has played 10 innings at number 5, in 5 of those innings, slowing down has happened. So I just that is just I hope. Now these things are only on hope. Now I don't think you back Tilak for 2 games at that instead of Rinku Singh. Now stick to him and just stick to this. But of course, if you get a situation where you need 60 from 6 and your third wicket falls, then send Hardik, not Tilak. So yeah, just manage the situation that way.
Honestly, it will be interesting to see what is the kind of strategy that Team India wants going ahead. But right now, they're probably going to still persist with him at that number 5 position itself. But Anuj, almost as we reach the end of our discussion as well, do you have any last and final thoughts? We have two very exciting semi-finals, lined up. We have New Zealand locking horns with South Africa. It's a very famous rugby rivalry that now even will play out in the world of cricket. And we have India take on England, right? Again, two heavyweights going at it with each other. Again, are there any expectations and predictions that you'd want to make for the winners of these semi-finals, eventual finals too? Winner?
Yeah, I hope it is India and South Africa playing the final on 8th March, because I have booked flight tickets. I have booked that final ticket. So yeah, I don't want it to go waste. And also just the fact that it would be a beautiful closure to, like, my first experience in Ahmedabad was really traumatic, because lost by 76 runs. After you go there all the way from Mumbai, it is very difficult to take. But if we manage to reach the final and beat South Africa, then it would be like, the saying that they say that God's plan is bigger than your plan. So maybe I had to see that match first, to so that the last winning the final against the same team on the same ground is even sweeter. But yeah, let's see. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It is first. It's the semi-final time. I'll be there also in the stadium. But yeah, let's see what happens. It's not going to be easy. All four teams uh, like ball coming onto the bat. Just New Zealand, I feel that they would have liked to play on the Sri Lankan pitches, just because of the sheer amount of spinners they have. But yeah, you never know. New Zealand, you can never write off in such events. But I still feel it will be India and South Africa. And yeah, you have to be careful of England, because at the end of the day, they have played 2 matches on that venue, and uh, you got trouble chasing 196 against a bowling attack which didn't have death bowling. But that is not going to be the case with England. They have proper experienced death bowlers like Jofra Archer and the other guy Sam Curran. So yeah, just and Adil Rashid is, as usual, always very cunning. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. But yeah, World Cup was never given on a platter. So yeah, if you want to win the World Cup, you have to get over these challenges.
Yeah, fingers crossed the matches also end up delivering. I think a lot of us are looking forward to seeing all of these teams square off against each other. But yeah, folks, that again does conclude our discussion. First things first, thank you so much, Anuj, for joining me on these days. To discuss all things Super 8. I had saved up, you for these special discussions, and you really did deliver and come through. So thank you so much for that. To all the viewers who joined us in the live chat, we again really really appreciate you. Again, as the World Cup, the IPL, and a lot of other fun things are planned, in the world of cricket. We will keep doing live streams like this, so please do join us. We also have the one-off test that features, India versus Australia women that starts out, really soon. So, keep your eyes peeled out for that. But yeah, folks, that's all for now. Thank you so much. See you very soon, and take care.